Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug, and Justin is not here again because when he was 7 years old, he went to a museum and they were handing around a little figurine, to show people, like, check this out. And he didn't know, he put it in his pocket and he didn't realize is that it was cursed. In order to break that curse, he has to take that figurine back to its homeland in Egypt. So that's what he's doing right now, and he'll be back soon. But my guest joining me this week to help me co-host is once again the mighty, the wonderful, the smart Seth. Seth, welcome back.
I'm one of those things you get to pick.
He is all of those things, guaranteed, or your money back. And it's free here, so fuck you. Seth, thanks so much for coming back. I know you did a one-off with Justin while I was out, so it's only fair that you come back and hang out with me.
I pop in and out as needed, especially when curses are involved. That obviously is written into my contract, that if either of you are the subject of a curse, I am needed to fill in. So. That's
right. You are our top choice for that. So I'm glad you're able to sneak into that. But before we get into anything, I found an Am I the Asshole post on Reddit. And when I saw it, I thought of you, and I thought, what better way to start off this episode than to ask you this question? So it's a quick one. I'm going to read it to you, and I want you to kind of like give your judgment on it. Sound good?
Okay, I can do this.
All right, here we go. Here's the title. Am I the asshole for refusing to participate in my coworker's mandatory affirmation circle during lunch?
No, fuck that shit.
I'm a 31 female in a small office, 12
there's
people.
More shit.
Oh yeah, there's context. We eat lunch together casually in the break room. A coworker, Lisa, mid-40s female, started a quick affirmation circle every lunch to go around saying one positive thing for team positivity, mental health. It was optional at first, but now she gets upset if anyone skips, sighs, says, put some energy in, or later asks if you're off. I'm introverted. Lunch is my recharge time, and forced sharing feels awkward and performative. Last week, I said I'll pass politely. She pushed. It's only 30 seconds. Don't be a downer. The room got tense, and now she excludes me from chats, and others say I killed the vibe. I told her privately I support positivity, but won't do forced group stuff on my break. She called me selfish. Am I the asshole for opting out completely?
Oh, good. With all that context, now I can absolutely say no. No. It is forced. It is performative. You're not killing the vibe by passing. And anybody who is like outside of that person who's like organizing it, who's also then applying the pressure, has just realized that this person wields an outsized amount of power. Mm-hmm. And now like they're just exercised. Like this has become like, I don't know the right term here, but like this person has taken this activity and used it to like feed their work ego and their work persona.
Oh yeah.
And now they've grown bigger than their own station, probably. Unless this person was like a manager. If this person's a manager, then they're a shitty one. Yeah, for making people do something like that is completely voluntary.
Right.
Okay, you were right. This is an easy one. No.
I front loaded Seth. I go off camera. I go, hey man, I got something. I already know your answer. He's like, oh no, he's feeling worried. Like maybe he's gonna get it wrong. I'm like, you're not gonna get it wrong. I know exactly how you're gonna answer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've discussed a few times about how we view the workplace.
Yeah.
And
it's transactional.
It is.
100% transactional.
I give them my time. They give me money. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be anything more than that. No emotions. No. I don't. No kissing.
No kissing. We fuck and then we leave. All right. No, I agree. Something like this just makes my skin crawl. Because I've been like, it's bad enough where you go to a weekly team meeting and someone's like, all right, time for an icebreaker. I'm like, when can we stop doing this? Like, when can we just stop doing an icebreaker? We all know each other. We're good. I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy doing this. Especially when the prompts are kind of like, I do silly stuff You know, I'm like, hey, what's your favorite covered song? You know, that's fun. Let's do that. You know, what's your favorite guilty pleasure movie? All right. People are like, if you could have, like, I talked about this in a previous podcast, but like, if you could, dine with 4 people, alive or dead, for Thanksgiving, who would it be and why? And I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Someone's like, Martin Luther King Jr., Princess Diana. I was like, Mark Hoppus, Jason Mantzoukas, Brendan Lee Mulligan, and Shakespeare. And I'm going to tell you why Shakespeare in a minute. And, you know, like, I was just like, and mine was completely unserious. And everyone's like, well, you know, it'd be great to,
the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa.
Yeah. And then we'll round that out with The Rock, because he's just an interesting guy, you know?
He's so inspirational.
It's like, I'm like, I don't belong here. It makes me feel weird. So the idea of someone like, that invading your personal time, your lunch time, to be like, hey guys,
that's the other thing.
Gather around.
If they're in person, then this is off the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're being then guilted into doing something off the clock. I would never abide that shit. Pure and simple.
Yeah.
This person knew when they posted this, they were the asshole. But that's okay. Sometimes you do that because you just want other people to come in and say, oh my God, fuck those people. Fuck that person in particular.
Here's the thing. In my recent experience, when everyone that's around you thinks differently from you, you start to feel like you're crazy. You're like, maybe I am the crazy person. Like, no one else seems to agree with me, and I feel like I'm insane, and maybe you just need to put this out there and be like, hey, am I nuts for being like, I don't want to say something positive over lunchtime? And it's just nice to have people be like, no, you're not. They're crazy.
Not that I don't want to say something positive. It's just I don't want to be put on the spot and forced to say something that's like motivational. It's like, you know, like, would it be like, Gary's fine. Does that count?
Well, here's the thing. It's not authentic. You're forcing people to fart stuff out, and it's not doing what you think it's going to do, because you're forcing people to come out and be like, well, one of my things I loved at one of the warm-up things we did for improv at one point was that teacher would be like, all right, what's one good thing and one bad thing? Like, we're going to have both sides of the spectrum here. Like, what's a good thing that happened to you this week and what's a bad thing? And we're going to sit in both of those. And I was like, I like that because it's real, you know? Like, what's a good and a bad thing? Whereas this is like only good things. Let's talk about one positive thing that you can share to really get everyone. It's just like, guess what? Something positive doesn't happen all the time, or you're not in the mood, or maybe the world's on fire.
Hearing other people's fake positivity doesn't make me feel better.
No, it just shines. It holds up a mirror to how much of a lie all of this is as the world burns around us. Yeah. So yeah, if you're fucking, and there was a great comment in there where someone goes, what'd they say? She sounds like one of those toxic positivity people that always make things like 100 times more exhausting and depressing with constant stuff like that. Not the asshole. I'd flat refuse from this point on. It's entirely fair to say, this is my lunch when I'm on lunch and thus off the clock. I prefer you pretend I don't exist until there's an emergency. I worked in a nursing home ages ago that had people like that on lunch. I started eating in my car. They still never understood why someone would want some quiet recharge time to eat.
And the other thing too is if she's being penalized in the workplace, by being excluded from work style like things at that point, then you know you're in a workplace that is going to be unbearable as long as you're there.
Oh, 100%. And they said this is a small office of 12 people. So,
yep. Nope, this doesn't get better if this person is being given that
and if platform. Everyone else is like, you're killing the vibe, man, and you're one of 12 people, you're like, oof, yeah. If people are not on your side, yikes. Yeah, you're in trouble.
Out for lunch, is that cool?
Yeah, again, I'm eating in my car. I'll be like, see ya. Like, I'm not being around for this. I'm going to have diarrhea every day at lunch. That's what's going to happen to me.
I'm going to go get on a public bus and eat there.
Just be like, anywhere, I won't be here.
Just going to ride it around for 20 minutes.
Yeah. What would you do in that situation? What would you do if someone, like, you felt the pressure from those 11 people to show up to this thing? Like, what would you do?
Sitting clearly outside of it right now, my easy answer is I wouldn't participate. But then there are, like, it depends. Like, do I feel like my job's at stake. Do I really need this job, actually? Is
Mhm.
this a really good job other than that? I'd love to say stand on your principles, right?
Right.
Don't ever give in. But it's also, too, it's like
Never surrender.
Right. But then it's like, all right, well, no, I really need this job. It's a pretty good job, pays well, and I'm at risk if I don't. I can then, put the mask on, be performative if I have to. Because, at the end of the day, I'll do anything to, mm, I was about to say avoid conflict,
Mhm.
because that's true. But
Yeah.
that's really not apropos of this. This is,
Mhm.
I'll do what I have to in the situation. So
Right.
if it's all the same, if it's all equal, and I don't feel like my job's at risk, then fuck that shit,
Yeah.
100%. But I can see the other side of the vision as a scenario where, like, yeah, whatever. All right. I'd just say, I would probably say that I would do so probably just in the most,
Malicious compliance.
yes, exactly, malicious compliancy way.
Yeah, I think I at this stage of my life, I would sit down with the person and just like, hey, listen, I'm glad you really want to do this. It's not for me. Like, this is not how I want to spend my lunchtime, but I support you doing it, and that's cool. Like, just it's not something I enjoy doing. And if they had a problem with that, I would be like, cool. So we're gonna escalate from here. We're gonna have like, cool. I told you that I don't want to do this. This is not mandatory. I'm not bringing the vibe down. I'm happy for you guys, and we'll keep going. I'll keep doing this over and over again, and I'll make you look like a fool. I'll do it. I'll make you look like a fool. I don't want to do this. Like you said, especially if it's a manager and you're like, fuck, I kind of have to. It still sucks, but I also feel comfortable telling my manager, like, hey, listen, this doesn't feel legit to me. This feels like a big waste of time. It feels like we're all pretending, and I'm not trying to. I like the intention. I think the intention's great. We want to be positive, but forcing this interaction is awful. It's awful for me, and I don't enjoy it, and I don't want to participate.
Great for those who feel like they benefit from it,
which is why it should be optional, right?
Mhm.
Exactly. An office of 12, boy, that creates divisions and lines and factions, and before you know it, it's Lord of the Flies out there.
So actually, my mom died from from fake positive talking, and so it's really personal to me when people do that. So that's why,
my brother was killed while being in an affirmation circle, and I just, I can't.
It's ever since then. Then,
I can't be around it. Like, how was he killed? He said something so positive. Someone just pulled out a knife, and they had a knife fight, and
he lost.
He lost.
Right. The other guy was way more positive.
He took the other one down with him, but I can't do it. I can't let that happen to me. I swore to my mom I'd never let that happen to me too. So I'm out. Then just rip a huge fart and then keep on walking.
Favorite way to end an argument.
Just rip a huge fart and be like, cool. We good? Seal the deal. Yeah. So yucky. Love reading those things when it's not particularly like is personally happening to me, but also just makes me realize what a fucking joke our corporate world is. And I get more cynical every day with it.
There's very little to look at right now. It's like, yes, it's getting better.
Right. I think the hardest part is when the world is so shitty and then you go to work and they're like, so Q1, what are our goals? I'm just like, I don't know, man. Lady got shot in Minneapolis. Like, I don't know. Like, the troops are getting armed and they're going to invade places, and we stole a president and we're going to invade another country and take it because it'll make us feel psychologically safe. Like, I don't know, man. I don't feel like this matters. Kind of don't care what we call our department, what we're going to rename it, or that a new leader's coming in. Like, what are the pros and cons of new leader? I'm like, I'm not going to fucking care. I'm an individual contributor.
We're going to spend this year pretending that we live up to.
Yeah. How are we going to get more revenue? Yeah. Can't wait to talk about that as the world is burning. Cool. Awesome. Fun. But that's why you all tune into this. You're like, hey, let's hear this positive talk. Hey, that's something I would share in that circle and probably get booted out. What's one positive thing? I don't know. We haven't declared martial law yet. Let's go. That's positive.
Nobody I personally know has been assaulted by federal law enforcement.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So just be, again, malicious compliance.
Another week. Guys, still riding the streak. Nobody
still doing
I know
it, baby. Woo, woo, woo.
assaulted by federal law enforcement.
Well, let us know what you think about that. Am I the asshole? How would you handle that situation if you were forced on your lunch break to, being bullied to
Doubly
give
so. Let us
positive
know
affirmation?
if you are that asshole.
Yeah, if you are that asshole,
Please
I'd love
reach
to
out.
talk to you.
We want to have you on the show.
Have you on the show. Love to talk to you about it and how you need to mind your own fucking business. Anyway, Seth, you're a gamer. I'm a gamer. We love playing games.
It's true.
We
Playing games right before I came here.
You played games right before he came here. We played, like a board game online on Friday. We did Blood on the Clock Tower, which was awesome. By the way, check the link in the description to our Discord. We set up game nights. We have a good time. That was a fun one. Super blast. We play a lot of stuff together, and I love talking games with you. I love talking games with Justin, but Justin doesn't have the same wealth of experience as folks like you and I do. So what I found interesting was this topic of video game morality and why do we feel bad about NPCs now? Now, let me just start back by saying some of you out there may be like, I don't feel bad when something bad happens to an NPC in a game that I'm playing. Into that, I'm saying no judgment. I don't know if I'll ever stay at your house because I'll be afraid that maybe something bad will happen to me. But all I'm saying is that there was a definitive time when playing video games growing up where I was like, ooh, I don't like that outcome. I hurt that person or I hurt that thing. And I know they're not real, but I feel bad about it. And it was different early on as we were doing things, but it sort of evolved over time. And I'm wondering, just like kind of to start things off, is there a particular moment where you found yourself playing a game where you're like, ooh, that feels bad, and made you be like, maybe I should reload a save, or maybe I should be more careful next time?
It's become more pronounced as the writing and the technology behind games has become more advanced. The ability to tell richer stories, and for really, to me, it's like it all started when your decisions had consequences within games. Not just like, oh, I hit the wrong button, I did the wrong thing. But no, when you were given text trees, and when you made a choice, and then one choice made a character feel bad, and then but that was a character you liked. I don't have in my head really the specific instance. I just know that it happened where I said something, the character responded in the way I didn't want them to. And I'm like, oh shit, no, I gotta go back.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it was one of those games like Dragon Age or another one that comes to mind for me is Fable. And that was the first one I really remember where your decision making impacted how the game went. If you acted in a way that was good, your character would look more like a stereotypical good character. If you did evil things, your character became evil looking.
Yeah.
And it's like you had these, it was very clear. Are you good or evil? And your in-game body will reflect that.
That's interesting. Yeah. For me, it's kind of a stupid example, but playing The Sims, when like my Sims are like, I have to poop and there is no toilet, and I'm like, oh man, I've been there. That sucks. Or they're like, I'm hungry and they don't have any food, or like they don't know how to cook and their kitchen's on fire and all of a sudden they die, because they didn't know how to cook. And I was like, man, we can't be doing this. I got to save this guy. He doesn't know what's happening. And then I remember watching, like, I forget what it was, some sort of one of those MTV True Life episodes. And it was a weird one where it was like talking about kids and playing games. And there was this one college student, and her favorite thing to do was to make like, just put up four walls, no lights, no windows, and just put a sim in there and just watch them as they suffered in the darkness. And I don't know if this is correlated with anything, but she was very religious, went to a very religious school, and like outside of the game, she was just like very, very good. But then she'd be just like, ha ha ha, look at them, they're suffering. I'm like, okay. That's weird. Because on one hand, it's, hey, it's just a game, but that kind of behavior, like,
is there a little person inside you that just sits in the dark and is suffering in the box that you've been put in?
Yeah. Do you try to kill them every day? Like try to smother them?
When you said The Sims, it just reminded me of Sim City, the old original.
Sure.
And rather than, I think this was, I think, before I felt that way about NPCs, but like, let's say, I couldn't afford that new power plant, and all of a sudden my city was out of power.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going in and I'm calling in the aliens, and and just like, torch the city. Fuck it.
You know what? Start over.
Yep. I'm done. So done with this.
So many of those early games just allowed you to do things without, because like you said, there wasn't necessarily attachment. There wasn't this dialogue. There wasn't this sort of character development where you're like, oh yeah, whatever. It's fine. They died. Oh, well, there's collateral damage. Who gives a shit? Oops. I killed the hostage. Oh, well, I lost points. Like there wasn't a whole lot of elements built into the game that allowed you to like actually really feel bad, which kind of leads us to like, when NPCs were kind of just obstacles, right? So great example of the Grand Theft Auto games, right? Like that was kind of like the whole point of them was, hey, hop in here, let's do some bad shit. Who cares if you kill this guy, steal the car, steal the motorcycle, blow up the bank, fight the cops, steal a helicopter. None of this matters. We're just having fun, And it's like, okay, cool. You don't feel bad when you punch a guy in the street and just start punching people.
Yeah, rip him out of his car, throw him into the street, in the traffic. He gets hit by another car.
It's hilarious.
That actually doesn't even affect, how much you're going to get arrested.
No, you're like, I can just hide from the cops, and let me
go get my car repainted.
Right.
That'll work.
Yeah. And to some extent, you're like, oh yeah, like that, to actually play that game carefully just is pretty much like putting it on extreme hard mode, right? You're like, I'm going to drive the speed limit. I'm going to drive carefully. I'm not going to hit pedestrians.
But we all tried that, right?
We all tried that. And they were like, it's so much more fun just to hop the curb and just
steering with joysticks is tough.
It is tough. It is tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
Thing handles, like a boat.
Yeah, right. And you're like, hey man, my objective is to blow up this factory. I'm going to blow up this fucking factory any way that I see how, any way that I can, and then of course you had games like GoldenEye on the N64 where it's just like, there's collateral damage and you're like, oh well, hey man, I gotta beat this level. You know what I mean?
I can't remember how many mines I would placed in the bathroom of that first level. I don't remember why I did it, but I did it. Like, right. How much can I blow up this bathroom?
Yeah.
These days, I just do that at Taco Bell. No.
I leave my house to blow up someone else's bathroom. No, I remember that story you told me of your daughter, like when you got her, was Breath of the Wild, and all she did was just like, race horses and capture bugs.
Collect horses, collect bugs, stayed at between two stables at the early part of the map. And did that for a good year and a half, I think, before she actually started playing the game as it was designed to be played.
Sure. Versus you blowing up the bathroom, setting mines. Different time, It was a different time.
It was a different time. And to be fair, too, by that point, that was the N64. I'd already been through Nintendo and Super Nintendo. I was in Sega Genesis. I was on my third video game system at this point. This was her first experience in this immersive world where she could do that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like we had this kind of like weird ramp up. We've had this weird ramp up. Like, we've seen it at its base form and then all the way up to now. Like, if I was thrown in where like all this choice and option was there, I don't know how I'd respond. Maybe that's I would have collected.
Because a lot of what we played on Nintendo were just like arcade game ports, which is all about can you get the high score and
side scrollers and
exactly. So like, there wasn't a lot of consequences and things like that. It kind of just was. Yeah, story didn't really exist in those.
The most story I got was like Star Tropics.
Right. Star Tropics. What a great game. What an interesting game where you remember you had to like run water over that piece of paper to get a code.
Absolutely. Yes. One of the most interesting mechanics to this day, I think, for how you could wait, you can't beat the game unless you remember to save this piece of paper.
Right. And thankfully we did in my family. We hung onto that thing and we knew whenever we play this game, we keep it in the right spot. So we could, it never occurred to us to fucking write it down.
Doesn't
we
work
save the paper
from the paper.
Yeah, right. Because it was fun to be like, oh, I'm gonna run this over the water and see what the code says, But both like, yeah, man, that shit's getting lost. You buy that second hand or something like that, and you're like, you don't have that. You rent it from the store, the video rental store, and you're trying to play in a week. You're like, fuck, I can't beat this game. But yeah, no, like totally agree. Like that's about the most story you get. Maybe Link to the Past. Obviously, you play some of the Final Fantasy games early on.
But that right there, we're talking Super Nintendo,
right? Sure.
So once we get into Super, that's when story really does start to develop. And
It's true.
You mentioned Link to the Past. I played that game so
Mhm.
much. That to
One of
me,
my
the first
favorites.
time an NPC of sorts came into play, where you could treat them badly, and then there was a consequence.
Yes.
And that, of course, for those of you who don't know, if you beat on a chicken long enough, the screen would
You'll
fill
come.
with chickens who would peck you to death.
Yes. And they don't go away until you leave the screen.
Yes,
So,
which was
yeah.
easy to do, but still,
Right.
Yeah, a consequence for being mean to this inanimate. It wasn't.
And
well,
by the
okay.
way, you got to wail on that chicken for a while too. It's not like 3 hits. It's like just
Yeah.
whack, 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 to the point where you're like, I don't think this is real. And then all of a sudden the swarm comes. It's just like, oh my God.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like, oh, you just, keep doing it. See what happens, you know?
A real FAFO moment.
Yeah, for sure. That was good. And I think it's interesting. Just like these things are just like distractions, right? The chickens serve no purpose in the game. They're just there. They're
Yeah,
just
not at all.
whatever. You can pick them up, you can throw them, you can hit them, but they don't do anything. So it's just like, that's where it get curious enough. The same thing with like, Grand Theft Auto. You're like, you're just curious. You're like, what happens if I throw a grenade in the bank? Like, well, what's going to happen? It's curiosity. Things are just kind of in the way, and there's really no stakes, and there's nothing really that's going to shock you for something like that. So then that leads us to like the next sort of phase of games, which are a little more, we're on more advanced systems. We've got a little more story. I've never played this game, but I've heard so much about it. But Shadow of the Colossus, have you ever played that game?
I've only watched it be played.
Okay.
So yeah, never played it.
So I've heard this game is like consistently is like one of the greats. People always talk very highly of it. But spoiler alert for people who haven't played this game.
It was on PS1. No spoilers.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I know. But as you play the game, you start to realize that you are actually the bad guy as you're doing it. And because the whole conceit is that you play as this character, and you're like on this heroic quest to revive a loved one, and that involves killing these giant solitary beings, which are like the Colossi, who are eventually revealed to be fragments of a greater imprisoned evil. And you're basically making a vessel for releasing this ancient darkness into the world by destroying these things. And the game was designed deliberately to kind of blur morality, and it shows your character's physical degradation as you slay these colossi, who are more like guardians than traditional monsters. And it forces you as a player to confront the consequences of these selfish actions. And so when you look at these and you go back and you look at it, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Am I the bad guy? As you're killing these creatures that are like, we're actually guardians. Please stop doing this. You're like, yeah, but I'm doing it for love. So that's okay, man. And you're like, wait a minute. Uh-oh. I don't think I'm the good guy. Have you ever played the game Braid by chance?
I've not even heard of the game Braid.
It was a very famous puzzle game. And it had one of the, I think it was the first time it was used where it's one of the most intuitive games. The tutorial, just like, it's super quick. It teaches you that you don't really die. You can always just reset. It's kind of like what you can do on the Switch now when you're playing older games. You're like, oh, I'm going to go back after you fail. And that's the whole conceit of the game. It turns into a giant puzzle game. It's actually very deep. It deals with like nuclear bombs and like dealing with the world in that way. But the final level of that game, also spoiler alert, you run through the game. What you're trying to do is you're trying to rescue this woman. And as you're doing it, you're trying to fight off this knight as you're going through and you're doing this sort of stuff. And once you kind of get to the princess, you then have to play it in reverse. You have to like reverse time, and you realize that you were the villain because you were trying to get to this woman. The knight was trying to stop you because the woman didn't want you to get there. And as you play the puzzle backwards, you're like, oh my God, the knight is doing everything he can to try and stop you from getting to this princess. And you're like, holy shit, that's really fucking creative.
That is a fantastic little twist on that Braid.
And you're like, wait a minute. Maybe my guy's not a good guy. Okie dokie. That one for me was like, that was cool. But also the Bioshock games are another one, right? Do you have something you want to add to that?
I don't. And again, well, actually, I did want to know, What system was Braid for?
I think it was like, it could be Xbox. I have it on Steam. I got it on Steam years ago.
Okay.
So it's
It could have been PC original.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if it was PC or it could have been Xbox. I don't know. It plays like a side scroller, so it's pretty. It probably could play on multiple systems. But it's worth checking out. I think it still exists out there if you can get it. It's great game, great puzzle game, relatively quick too. But Bioshock, I didn't play. I played Bioshock Infinite, which is a phenomenal game. But Bioshock, I remember hearing about the I don't know if they're called the daughters or the sisters, but like they're like these evil kids in the game. There's like 6 or 7 of them, and I think they have like a robotic like counterpart that comes with them to try and protect them. And you can kill these kids, and you gain their power. It makes you more powerful. Makes the game more easy. Makes the game easier. But you realize that like it's pretty awful what you're doing, even though they are technically evil. You can save them. You can choose not to kill them. And in doing so, you have a very happy ending. But I've heard, as we'll get to from some of our listener submissions here, that when you kill them, there's like a haunting scream they let out when you kill them. And you're like, oof, oh boy, I don't know if I should have done that. Which I think is creative, right? It's like, hey, they're evil right now, but you want to try and save them? You can. Game will be harder, but it's the right thing to do. Or you can be like, fuck it.
Right? Yeah, like I need the game to be easier for me. I need the power.
This isn't on me. This is on you, the developer. I want an easier experience, man. Now, I've never played Fable, but you I've heard about it, and you mentioned that like hurting NPCs changes your character.
Yeah.
So like what kind of things do you do in that game to hurt NPCs?
So the very earliest Fable, it just, you can kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like, you would get like extra treasure or rewards if you were killing like townspeople, stuff like that, like innocent people, as opposed to just like sticking to, killing the baddies. So it's like, yeah, just like with, doing the bad thing can get you more. But then as your character reflects that more evil nature, people like react to you differently. They react to your appearance. Is like now they're afraid of you. They cower in fear when you're nearby and all that kind of stuff. Instead, in the later games, they built different bits of morality in it. Like I remember, I can't remember which Fable game it was necessarily, but there's an option to try and like save an orphanage.
Oh boy.
Or not, or let it burn.
Oh my God.
It's like, yeah, that's very clear where you're going to fall morally there. And so you got definitely more nuanced as time went on, as I think all the games really have. It's like, most recent one, like Baldur's Gate 3.
How huge.
As many hours as I put into it, I have never, ever let the Grove get hurt.
No, absolutely not. I was telling Jill about that tonight. She asked what we were going to be talking about. I mentioned Baldur's Gate 3, and I go, there's a character that you can get on your side. And if you do, you see someone, you're like, I know what you did to get that character, to get that drow elf in your party. I know what you had to do. You had basically to slaughter this entire village of innocent people.
Yep, or just let it happen.
Yeah, it's like that's the only way they join your side. So that's not cool. Yeah, there's so many times where I'm like, I just can't do it. I just feel awful. I hate I hate those situations. It just doesn't feel good, especially because you develop relationships with them, which is kind of the difference between like these games we're talking about, like with Shadow of the Colossus and Bioshock and things like that, is like the game doesn't say, hey, this is wrong, but you feel it when it happens. You're like, ooh, okay.
That
one didn't feel good. You didn't get like, you did something bad, naughty. It's like, oof, I don't know, man. That didn't feel good. And then that leads us into things where the NPC started remembering us. And this is one for me, Mass Effect. I don't know if you ever played that series, but
I did. Yeah.
I remember that first game where one of your companions is guaranteed to die. You get to choose which one lives or dies. And you're like, oh my God, I have to let one of them die. I don't want to do this, but you have to. Or, there's obviously there's things you can do to improve your relationships with them. Or obviously if you're trying to romance them, like I felt bad one time because I led one of the romantic partnerships on. I didn't mean to, but I was like, no, that's not the one I wanted to romance. But then I did, and I was like, oh no. And the other person was like, I can't believe you do this. I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's not what I meant. It just happened. I didn't think that dialogue would mean that I'd take my pants off. I thought I was just being friendly. It wasn't clear. You know,
I remember the first time I heard Carlock.
Oh, well, not only that, it's like the first time you're hanging out with Gail in Baldur's Gate 3, and you're like, hey, cool. And it's like you kiss. I'm like, wait, whoa, I didn't want to kiss Gail. What? I didn't mean that.
Yeah, boy, he comes on strong. Even earlier than that, I remember back in Harvest Moon. Just changing my mind. I would feel bad about the partner that I was no longer pursuing.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, you know what? No, I don't want the flower shop girl anymore. I want the barmaid.
Right. Exactly. And especially in these kinds of games, because you start to really get to know them, you get to know their backstory, and especially there's 3 games of Mass Effect, right? So you've seen some of these characters through all these games, and you worry about them, and you want them to succeed, you want them to like you, and you also mentioned Dragon Age. That's another good one. That first one, there's so many times where I made the wrong choice, and all of a sudden, because in that game, there's no like, oh, I'm kind of mad at you. They instantly will hate you and start attacking you. Like if you fuck up, like if you make the wrong decisions, they're like, we're enemies now, man. I'm ideologically opposed to what you just did. You now have 2 less people in your party. You're like, oh my God, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
I think there was like the older woman in that one that is like kind of like the healer. And it's when you're dealing with the Reavers. I think I did something where I'm like, yeah, cool. We should check that out. And she goes, what? You're siding with the Reavers? And she immediately was like, I'm going to fight you. I'm like, no, scum, save scum, save scum, save scum. My bad.
I need a healer.
I can't survive without you, ma'am. I won't do it. Okay. And then of course you have the Red Dead Redemption 2. You've got like the Witcher 3, where there's consequences long after your choices are made. Or like Red Dead Redemption 2, you see like the reactions from NPCs, and they have routines, and they just start feeling more real, like more real people.
Cyberpunk. In particular around that one, I've not played through the game in its entirety, but like between the 3 different starting kind of like archetypes that you can be in, the different relationships you can have, there's so much within that where, yeah, like there's a memory of what you did, what you said to who, or who you killed even, and that will have consequences later.
Yeah. And that is so huge, because once these characters start feeling more real, I think that's where those elements come in, where you're like, I have a relationship with them, I know you haven't played it yet, but like Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
I bought it.
I mean, you bought it?
I have it. Yeah, it was on sale. Yeah. I got it. I'm going to get to it.
Okay, man. You got to keep me posted on that, because I want to hear your experience with that. But like, that's a game where like, just, I felt so many emotions playing this game, and I'm like, this is a fucking game. And I'm like so emotionally invested in everything that's happened. And like, it's also just helps that the game is so beautifully designed, and the music is incredible and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a game where I'm just like, this is where we are now, where I'm emotionally invested in this fiction, and I'm like, I care. I care what happens to you.
I think that's an ideal state. And I was about to say the ideal state. I don't think it's I think it is an ideal state.
Yeah.
Because I think there are people out there who will look at how the 2 of us are blubbering about how we get emotionally attached to these pixels and be like, y'all are silly. Like, this is just like, go out there, fuck shit, do whatever you want. Who cares? It's a fucking computer representation of bullshit. And that is another way to see it, for sure, and a detached way to see it. It's not how I see it, but I think that there is too. Like, there's that other gratification of video games within that, of like, I'm just here to turn my brain off and do this.
Sure.
I think the fact that games are to the point where you can get emotionally attached to them. And honestly, for me, they've been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, famously for me, that game made 13-year-old me cry. And that was the first point at which it was cemented to me. Like, yeah, you can get emotionally invested in things, just like you can a book, just like you can any bit of
100%.
narrative and storytelling. And it's just the better the job that they do of sucking you in, I think the better experience you end up having.
I agree. The more they can make you these things look and feel real. And it probably helps too that, especially nowadays it's motion capture. So it's real people acting this stuff out. So,
Yeah.
that
And I have
makes
to
it
be
even
so
more.
emotionally detached to so many things going on
Yeah.
in the real world these days.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
it's nice to get into something and feel things, but also know that those feelings are um they're kind of free. Like
Yeah.
there's not going to be some cost I extract from that later.
Exactly. For sure. So, those games, we got NPCs that have schedules, opinions, they have grudges, and we start to feel like, oh, wait, there's consequences for my action. And that's when things start turning a little bit more where you're like, I kind of feel bad when this happens. And then there's the games that punish you for being efficient, which is always a huge issue for me because I'm Practical Doug at my core. So, I've never played Undertale. Have you played it?
No, though everyone has said that it's an homage or it's based off of one of my all-timers, which is Earthbound.
Yes.
Um, but no, I've not gotten into it ever.
From what I understand from this game, the game makes players feel bad for being efficient by like killing monsters for experience and leveling up. But they do this by creating empathetic characters. They force difficult choices and they implement permanent consequences that turn like sort of your efficient grinding into a morally corrupt act. So especially when the game confronts you for your choices, like making the good pacifist route feels more rewarding and the bad genocide route feels like a heavy burden. So basically the game's design challenges your typical gamer mindset of power progression by making sure you care about pixelated lives, which turns the efficiency into cruelty and empathy into the true reward, which I find to be fascinating. That they're like, oh yeah, you can grind, but these are real people, man. These are good people you're
Put me
killing.
at odds with game mechanics of over leveling.
Right, that's how I roll.
The boss fight is easier.
Right, because typically, I remember it's like, oh, you want a challenge in Link to the Past? Just have your green armor, and just don't level up your sword, and let's see if you can. Whereas this is like, hey, do you want to have the best ending? Don't kill people. I'm like, wow, what a great way to approach that. To be like, oh, you want to be the best, the most powerful thing in the world? Well, you got to kill all these innocent people to level up. You're like, oh boy, that hurts.
Yeah, anybody who plays Pokemon knows that, like, yeah, you will go through and make hundreds of, not thousands of Pokemon faint on your pathway to beating up, random children and then later on adults. And beating their Pokemon up, I guess, is how it should be. But yes, you just go out there, they are expendable. They sit there in the tall grass waiting to be wailed on.
Right. And it's simple. I've never played. I know this genre of game exists, but like Papers, Please, right? Where you are a border agent, and you're essentially trying to decide whether or not someone is allowed in, and the efficiency of this is like, yeah, but I mean, these are people, man, these are people and you're either turning away or whatever, but you're part of the system and you got to do your job to be successful. That means that people are probably going to suffer along the way because like, no, you can't come in here. No, sir. And then there's Disco Elysium, which I know you have played and you are a huge fan of.
Yes.
So explain to me the emotional labor as gameplay in Disco Elysium.
I mean, the game presents. So this is one I've saved scum plenty, because the way that you say something to people will impact either how that person's going to react to you, or most importantly, how your partner Kim will react to you. So very short premise: you wake up, you wake up in a trashed hotel room. You are a horrible drunk who is a cop, and a straight-laced cop named Kim shows up and he's supposed to support you in this, and he starts following you around and then has to put up with all of your bullshit. And so there are lots of unique and interesting choices that you have to make, one of which is hey, this dead guy in a tree has some really awesome armor. Um, but obviously he's in it and he's been in it for a while. And
Uh-huh.
so now it's really hard to get it off of him. So it's like, oh, well, we can like, and then your partner's like, detective, please, let's just leave the body alone.
Like,
Let's
but that's
not.
good armor, man.
But those are really good boots. And so you end up like ripping a leg off and then taking it into a kitchen and then boiling the dead leg out so you can wear these boots.
Well, those are +2 boots, man.
But here's like, you don't really need armor because like your hit points are based on your like mental stability and
It's
I
hilarious.
just there is a physicality of it, but like you're not getting shot at ever.
Yeah.
You do I think at one point you can get punched by a racist, but anyway,
I
there's
mean, we
just
all could. You know what I mean?
and then depending on your choices, you go down these different paths of, most of them are you end up becoming a communist, but anyway, it's it's really in-depth storytelling, and then it just starts to break your heart. Like it
Mm,
seems like at first it's like goofy and fun. It
mhm.
really is. And then as the story really unfolds, you find out just the shattered world that this guy
Wow.
what shattered him, what led him to this point where he doesn't
Oof.
recognize himself in the mirror. And then it starts to break your heart.
Oh boy.
So yeah, wonderful game. Can't recommend it enough.
I own it, but I haven't played it yet, so it's on my list. So I need to break that out. So we kicked this over to the Discord community for my gap, link in the description down below. But I basically put out a poll. I said, when did you first feel guilty about harming an NPC in a video game? And the majority of votes said indie games like Undertale, Papers, Please, and Disco Elysium. Although some people said some mid-era games like Bioshock and Shadow of the Colossus. Some said modern RPGs like Mass Effect, Witcher, Red Dead Redemption. And then, someone also said, I reload saves to undo harm now. I'm the same way. Like I will
That
always
was
do
me.
that
I said that.
forever and ever. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Because it was none of those games for me, and I put
Yeah.
it back to it was the earliest point, maybe it was Zelda, and then beyond that, I
Yeah.
think it was Fable was
Mhm.
that game that I think built that kind of like your decisions have weight.
Yeah, exactly. So Tal said literally indie games like Undertale, I think, are the only ones that can properly give us a gray villain / anti-hero style character to care about. He said like some AAA companies try, but either they do the whole "just kidding, I was an ally all along" trope and make it obvious, or make them the villain only because you're actually the villain, or some weird trope thing. Um, Gunch said, I was going to say Undertale, Deltarune as well. I haven't really ever had too many qualms with hurting the fictional characters for the sake of the game, doing both good evil routes if a game has the option. I went into Undertale series with the expectations that I wouldn't be so dead set on the pacifist route, but then I just fell in love with every character, and the idea of hurting them was extremely upsetting. So it seems like they did their job. And Emilio said, I will never forget absorbing a little sister in Bioshock. I thought it was going to be some sort of fake out or whatever, but their expressions and dismay at your choice haunted me. And then Jared said, killing Jar Jar Binks in The Phantom Menace on PS1. He got really sad, and then the game ends and makes you load your last save because you need him. Unfortunately, I'd also somehow saved as I killed him. I couldn't go back, and I had to restart again. It made me value NPC life more.
Oh, by way of a glitch.
By way of a glitch, by way of a save glitch. Who'd have thought? So I guess final question here. Are games making us better or just more anxious with these kinds of things? Is guilt a feature or a bug? And should games just let us escape responsibility? I'd say that probably just depends on what you want, in a game. Because Grand Theft Auto is always going to be there. Call of Duty is always going to be there. Like there's all sorts of games out there where you can just go and just have fun and let loose and whatever. But
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like any other
depending,
media. The
yeah,
the vast array of possible emotions should be available.
agreed.
Um,
Depending on your play styles,
yeah,
what you're
depending on
into.
what you're looking to achieve by, whether it is I just want to go and play Marvel Rivals and be
Yeah,
somewhat brainless and do these repetitive things, whatever for that, or I want to be enmeshed in a story.
Yeah, I want to have a
and I
good story with good characters. I want to have some dialogue.
I want to
wanna make some
feel
good choices.
something.
I want to feel something, man. And not just the feeling I get when I get a Diet Coke at McDonald's, I want to feel something more,
Yeah, I don't want to feel so blurry.
Well, let us know in those comments. Head over to youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Like and subscribe over there. Drop a comment. What was the game that made you start caring about NPCs, if there ever was one? And what when you're playing a game, what makes you feel compelled to care about the NPCs? We'd love to hear all about it. All right, so our game is a special one that I designed just for Seth, because Seth is a Final Fantasy guy, and I did something similar to Gunch when he was on, and we're going to play a little game called Fact or Fiction, or we could call it Fact or fucking Bullshit, however you want to call it.
Fact or Fantasy.
Fact or Fantasy, way better. Fact or Fantasy. I'm going to ask Seth a series of questions, and they're either going to be true or false, and they're going to be about Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII, and Final Fantasy VIII specifically, because I know those three for sure.
The Golden Age.
I know you know a lot about it, and I know less about Final Fantasy VIII, but I know a lot about the other two. So I figured this should be fun for Seth to try and figure out. So, Seth, are you ready for Fact or Fantasy?
So ready.
All right. First question. This is a Final Fantasy VI question. Kefka is the first mainline Final Fantasy villain to actually succeed at destroying the world. Is that fact or is that fantasy?
I'm going to go fact.
You are correct, sir. It is indeed a fact. Most other villains are stopped by the heroes as they're trying to destroy the world, so they never actually get to do it. Kefka is the first one to actually destroy the world. He succeeds, and then you have to try and deal with the consequences.
And then you have to live in the world that he destroyed.
The world of ruin, which is interesting. All right. Final Fantasy VII, boy. Here we go. Here is the statement. Sephiroth and Cloud never actually have a real conversation in the present timeline of Final Fantasy VII.
I believe that's true.
It's actually fiction. They do, but it's mostly through manipulation, illusions, and trauma fog.
Okay, that's where I was like,
yes,
most
you
of
can
it's
clarify.
He's not really there.
Right.
Like it's all kind of like in Cloud's head a lot.
Right. So in the original game, Cloud and Sephiroth never have a face-to-face in-person conversation in the present timeline. So it's like when they see him, it's actually Genova's body, which is taking Sephiroth's form and being controlled by him from the Northern Crater, where they actually interact in the Nibelheim. It's actually a flashback. The only time they're in the same
and isn't
room.
That Zack's memory too? Exactly.
Right. So it's like so confusing. They're in this only time they're in the same room in the present day timeline is at the very end of the game when the real Sephiroth has already begun to merge with Genova, and the interaction consists of psychological torment and a final battle. And most of their interactions are telepathic, with Sephiroth manipulating Cloud through Genova sales. So Genova sales.
This weekend, Genova sales. Come on down. We got prices lower than you know.
So actually, I kind of feel like the answer to that should be true, like because the statement is Sephiroth and Cloud never actually have a real conversation in the present timeline. I think it's true. It's true. They don't.
It's kind of that's where I thought about it a lot. I'm like, it's not. None of it's really real.
Yes, not really real. Good job. I'm going to give that one to you. All right.
So
Final Fantasy VIII. Here we go. The junction system was originally designed to encourage players to avoid combat.
False.
That's correct. It is false. It is not true.
Yeah, you have the whole point of that battle is like if you want a spell, you need to get into a battle with something to then take that spell from them in like an incremental amount.
Exactly.
Yes, you can achieve quite a lot through playing cards, and Triple Triad is probably the best side game of all the Final Fantasies. Plus also has the best soundtrack. Don't at me, exactly. But yeah, no. Yeah, one spell, suck it from a monster.
Yeah,
that's the
so
whole
the design intent was to shift focus away from traditional leveling gaining XP, and toward preparation and customization. Because enemies scale with the player's level, the game encourages strengthening characters through junctioning magic to stats rather than through random battles.
Yes. And if you knew what you were doing, you could get insanely powerful just by knowing which monster to farm, kind of get enough
Yeah.
of the right spell, injunction it to the right stats to take off.
Yeah.
Which obviously I did.
Of course. If you know Seth's going to be like, I'm going to min-max this to the best of my ability. And I get that because I'm similar.
Yeah, there was a way in that game you could get Squall's like final weapon in the first disc. There were 4 discs, and you could do it if you. And I did make an attempt. I made an honest attempt at it. You had to grind, and like it was like a 1 in 1,000 chance that this enemy would appear on a beach, and you had to get him to appear 4 times.
Oh my god!
And then, or you had to get I forget how many times, but like you had to get it to not just appear, but then drop the thing that you wanted it to drop, and then you had to do a whole bunch of other bullshit too. But
yeah,
you just had to get the right materials, and then you could get his final weapon first disc.
Wow, Jesus! And then it's just like have fun the rest of the way. So yeah, the big thing was like the system encouraged avoiding casting magic, not combat itself, because 100 copies of a spell yield the best stats. Players are incentivized to hoard, which is great for us, rather than cast their best spells. That's how you and I operate.
Does it Does it now make sense why that was one of my favorites?
Of course, yeah.
It spoke to me.
It fits with us. For the guy who has 100 mega elixirs, it's like, no, I can't use them. I might need them for the final boss. This is the final boss. I'm like, well, there might be another final boss.
I am not using Flare. My hit points are attached to that.
Very good. All right, next one, Final Fantasy VI. Terra appears in more playable scenes than any other character in Final Fantasy VI. What do you think?
I'm going to go with fantasy.
Your streak is unbroken. You're correct. That is fantasy. Terra while Terra is the face of the game, it is more of an ensemble game. And in the first part, the World of Balance, she is central and she's featured heavily. But in part 2, Terra's largely optional for a significant portion of the second half of the game.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out before you say who owns that title, and it's between Locke and Cells to me.
There you go.
And it was Cells.
So
I don't know. I've never
Celeste. That's how I pronounce it. It's funny when you hear people say it. I was like, wait a minute, is that how it says? But yeah, Celeste is arguably the lead of the World of Ruin. She's the character you control first and is involved in the majority of searching for friends. Also arguable is Locke and Edgar, who have extensive screen time and in some estimations more forced mandatory or overall scene appearances than Terra. So Terra's the face of the game, but she does not appear more than, other playable characters through the 14-character ensemble that is Final Fantasy VI, which is why it's one of my favorite games, because so many great characters, so many great stories.
No, wait. Have you then played Chrono Cross?
I have not played Chrono Cross. I'm familiar with it. I also never played Chrono Trigger. So I know.
Right, so Chrono Trigger is an absolute must. But if you like an abundance of characters, Chrono Cross has like 20 or
I don't know if I'd like it now. Maybe when I was younger. That seems like a lot for me.
Okay, that is fair. You know what? That's the thing too, is some of them have like really good story parts. Some of them are just like, I'm a baby dragon.
I'm a baby dragon.
I'm a mushroom man.
I'm a mushroom. I'm like probably not playing that guy,
And the other thing too is like you can't get all of them in one playthrough because your decisions will impact which ones you're able to get.
Gotcha.
And so then it always became this thing of like, gosh, which one do I want? Do I want the lead guitarist of the band or do I want the singer? And stuff like that.
That's hilarious. That's amazing. All right, next one, Final Fantasy VII. Aerith's death was planned late in development due to cartridge limitations being removed when the game moved to CD.
This is going to be an absolute guess, but I'm going to go with fact.
It's actually fiction.
Okay.
It's actually fiction. According to interviews with the director, Yoshinori Kitase, and developer Tetsuna, why am I trying? That the decision to kill a main character specifically to highlight the theme of life and death was planned relatively early in development. And their initial plan was to discuss killing either Aerith or Tifa early on, moving away from the cliche of having a character sacrifice themselves heroically, choosing instead to make her death sudden and meaningless in a realistic way. So that was a misconception to be like, we ran out of space. I guess we're going to kill her,
Well, I thought it was like, hey, no, we can do so much more now.
Mhm.
We can
I
kill
see.
her. And it doesn't have to be the end.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
So that's a
But yeah,
common misconception,
hats
I
off to
guess.
them for
It makes it even cooler because they're like, no, we're going to kill her.
Right. And we want it to be sudden and meaningless. We want to.
And also, we're going to have her
deeply.
ultimate limit break in there. So it makes it seem like she's going to be with you the whole time. And then, she
Yeah.
did, spoiler alert.
We want
All
to
right.
give you every reason to love her.
All right, here we go. We've got a couple more here. Final Fantasy VIII. Squall's emotional distance was intentionally written as a response to player criticism of Cloud being too expressive.
But it has to be fantasy because Cloud is not very expressive.
You're correct. That is false. So
Bro
Final
is
Fantasy
brooding
VII.
and distant.
He was very brooding, just emo
It's like,
boys.
Yeah, that's all
Not
they could make
expressive.
in that day.
Final Fantasy VII was released in 1997, and 8 was released in 1999. So there was the 2-year development cycle. The primary character design for Squall was likely already established before any of that feedback about Cloud was there. And Squall's emotional distance was written to fit the themes of the game: individualism, teenage isolation, and the fear of vulnerability, and to create a character who grows through social interaction. So the perception that Squall was a response to Cloud is a long-standing fan rumor. In reality, both characters are misunderstood by players who confuse their outward facades, social distance versus memory-related issues, with their actual personalities. And Squall's aloofness is a result of abandonment trauma from his childhood, specifically leaving his sister figure alone, which led him to create a defensive antisocial barrier to avoid getting hurt again.
Yeah, or Square just likes writing broody loners as
Yeah.
its main characters because they knew who their audience was.
Yeah.
And how
100%.
well that brooding loner was the one who was playing their games.
That's right. All right. Final question here.
All right.
This is across all games. All 3 of those games. Final Fantasy 6, 7, and 8 all feature a moment where the player temporarily believes the main character has died. Is that fact or is that fiction?
Oh, this is nuanced. Especially with 6 in there because it's like, who's your main character really?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is. I mean, but you don't really believe it. I think it's. I'm gonna go with fact that they all have a main character kind of death scene, except I never believed it in any of them.
You are correct. In Final Fantasy 6, Terra disappears. Maybe you think she's dead. In 7, you have Cloud falling into the live stream, and then Squall at the end of disc 1.
Right, but it's like for Cloud, it's like bullshit. No, they're not killing him and
Aerith? I don't think so. Yeah.
No. And then it's like, no, we're not losing him in disc 1.
I figure like my modification to the statement is that like I never believed that the main character died, but they wanted me to think that that was the case, so I never.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's cool.
Wow, I scored pretty well,
dude. You did great. I think you only got 1 wrong, and some of these were kind of like pretty wishy-washy in that.
Yeah,
regard.
1.5-ish.
You did
wrong.
Fantastic. Maybe. Well done. Excellent work.
But yeah,
Seth.
you hit me in my wheelhouse, so yes.
Well, that's awesome. I was like, I want to hit you in your wheelhouse. So I was like, yeah, it's good. It's fun. It's good stuff. I hit Noah with Dragon Ball Z and Sonic stuff. So in his wheelhouse too. So
exactly. Yep. He has.
But sometimes that can be more pressure because you're like, I feel like I know this stuff. So and so some of it's more industry stuff, but it was fun. Well done, Seth. Well done. Excellent work. All right, Seth. Before we wrap things up, is there anything you'd like to recommend to folks out there for this week's episode?
I just finished watching Fallout. I decided.
Okay.
I don't think it's actually. I don't know if it's done for season 2 yet. But either way, I'm caught up now. I just finally caught up, and I didn't think I was gonna like it quite as much as I did.
Okay.
I never played the Fallout games. I heard of them. I know of them. The story is really, really well done, though. I'm really kind of impressed with the twists and turns that it took and the ways that it kind of caught me off guard with things.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Nice. That's cool. I've abandoned Prime, so I'm just not going to watch it, and that's okay. I'm at peace with
That's
that.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's totally cool. I just watched One Battle After Another. The Leonardo DiCaprio and film directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I was like, "Oh, this seems kind of like a silly movie." It's not really a silly movie. Kind of serious, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. It was very engaging. When I pulled it up, it was almost 3 hours. I'm like, oh boy, okay. I wasn't really fully committed to this, but I really enjoyed it. It was really cool. I love the way it was filmed. The acting, of course, is solid. Yeah, it's great. I think it's out on Netflix or HBO Max. I think it's
one
HBO
of
Max.
this.
Yes, I think it was on HBO Max. But really good. Really worth it. I think I was also getting some buzz around the awards circuit as well, and I think it's well deserved. It's very good. So worth checking out, bruv. Well, Seth, thank you so much for filling in for Justin while he tries to eliminate this white man's curse. It's always a pleasure getting to chat. Not him specifically. Not him specifically.
We're calling it now.
Well, we stole the artifact from Egypt and put it in a museum, and it doesn't belong in a museum.
That sounds like a distinctly British problem.
It does, right?
Just British things.
But thank you for coming to hang out and chat video games with me. It's always a pleasure having you around.
Thank you, Doug. It's always a pleasure to come and chat.
Yeah. All right, gang. Well, you know what to do. Head over to youtube.com/mindgappodcast. If you're already there, hit the like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment. It means the world to us. It's a free way of supporting us. Also, check the links in the description for links to our Patreon, links to our Discord, and links to our merch at Redbubble. Join the Discord. Join all the other like-minded fans and join in these discussions so you can add your comments to the podcast episode. We'd love to hear from you. And we're also, like I said, planning game nights. So we'd love to have you come hang out with us. Also, be sure to check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, rate and review, and do us a favor and just share it. Share us around. That means the world when you can share it with people and let people know, like, hey, these guys, they're cool. They're worth listening to. I know they're two white guys and doing a podcast and they're a dime a dozen, but you know what? They're cool. So check them out. And with that, I'll say, Seth, thank you.
Doug, thank you.
You all have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.